3rd, 2020. I am calling this meeting to order since we have the official notice we are being recorded. Approval of the, first of all, roll call. Kendall, can you call roll call?
Sure. Doug Neely.
Here.
Karen Morey.
Here.
Troy Bollinger.
Aye.
Troy. No. All right. Jeff Sargent.
Here.
Derek Kugel.
Here.
Andy Crump.
Here.
Sean Datchler.
Here.
Brent Haberkamp.
Here.
Okay.
That is everyone.
All right. Next item is approval of the minutes of October 22, 2020. Any corrections, additions, questions? Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Say your name, please.
John Datchler, I so move.
Second, say your name, please.
Brent Haberkamp, second.
All right, all those in, or excuse me, Kendall, roll call again.
Doug Neely.
I'll have to abstain. I didn't attend.
All right. Karen Morey.
Aye.
Troy Bollinger. Jeff Sargent.
Aye.
Derek Kugel.
Aye.
Andy Crump.
Aye.
Sean Datchler.
Aye. And I was wondering if Troy's in the waiting room.
I don't see him.
Oh, he just sent me a message. I'm restarting my computer. I'll be on shortly.
All right. Brent Haberkamp.
Aye.
And that is it.
All right, and I am seeing only staff and a co-presenter. Are there any public comments for the meeting tonight? Hearing none, the public comments are closed. There are no presentations from any outside groups. We now go to general business. Update on Oregon City Parks and Recreation, cost recovery training and analysis. And that is yours, Kendall.
Yes. And so tonight I've asked Rochelle to provide an update and give a brief overview of what you will all be participating in the joint work session with PRAC and the City Commission on December 8th. We've been working very diligently to complete this training. We figure that this training will allow us to better serve the community, better manage our resources, and provide a roadmap for us to provide a transparent way to show how we determine our prices and be able to get buy-in from PRAC and the community and the City Commission, and to just better help us manage our resources for the future. So I'll turn it over to Rochelle.
Okay. Good evening, PRAC members and chair and co-chair. And thank you for this opportunity really quick to just run over what we've been doing the last, this is probably we're in our 6th or 7th week of our cost recovery analysis. And we did provide a staff report that I'll go into a little bit further detail, but we hired a consultant to work on something that's called the Smart Approach to Cost Recovery Analysis for Parks and Recreation. And it's in total about a 12-week process where we analyze our data, we upload into software, and we talk about all the different services that our department has to offer. And then we rank those services not based on community value or value systems, but on whether it's a community benefit or an individual benefit. And then ultimately what will happen is deciding that ranking will help us at the end have an illustration of a model that will show a continuum of what is an individual benefit and what is a community benefit. And this is something that was actually listed in the 2008 Parks Master Plan, and that was to create a department cost recovery philosophy and policy. So that is what we're working towards. And from the staff report, you can see that phase 1 was our staff education. Phase 2 was the development of service categories. Phase 3 was our beneficiary, or includes our cost recovery analysis, which we're in the middle of. All of our data has been uploaded and analyzed. And then phase 4 is our beneficiary of services. And that is what will be happening at the joint work session December 8th. After we engage your group and the commission to help us rank our service categories, we will be in phase 5, and then that's where the department will receive its cost recovery tool, and it'll help us identify indirect and direct costs and have an illustration of where we're at and where we want to go. So that is a quick overview of cost recovery. Looks like we're on track, on time, so we'll be wrapping up this process by the end of December. And I just want to, if I don't have an opportunity, just want to thank you for your input and involvement on the December 8th, helping us do the beneficiary of services exercise, which we had done today with the staff, and then we had public engagement. And so we had some people from Oregon City Parks Foundation, we had neighborhood association folks involved. So it was a good group of people. There was about 14 people total that helped us do that initial beneficiary of services ranking. So look forward to more on that. And this will be, like Kendall had said, really, I think a really good thing for the department, where we'll be able to set costs and look at how we're using our funds, taxpayer funds. So any questions?
Okay, and I'm going to say thank you, Rochelle. Thank you so much, my dear. I'm going to my participant screen. Please raise your hand. Okay, somebody raise your hand.
Looks like Brent has his hand up.
Oh, Brent, you have your hand up. Yes, I see it.
I don't know if that and thing really works. I'm just gonna say. So I just want to get a clear understanding, Kendall. So on the 8th, are we going to be reviewing what the public went over, and what exactly are we going to be doing?
So part of it, we're going to have the consultant, Jamie Seibach from Amelia, come and do some training so we can increase the understanding of the process and what we're trying to accomplish. And then the next aspect of that is looking at the service categories that we have developed. And then you will have the ability, PRAC and the City Commission will have the opportunity to rank in regards to where you think that these services actually should land. Is it more of a community benefit, or is it more of an individual benefit? So we can take all of that input and come up with a model and bring that model back and say, based on the input that we've received from the community, PRAC, and the City Commission, this is the model. This will dictate kind of what we're going to do in regards to our cost recovery process and what we will be cost recovering moving forward.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because I'm still kind of new and figuring things out. So thank you.
All right, and to make this easier, I'll go down the list. Andy, any questions? Andy?
Oh, I shook my head. No.
No, sorry, dear. I'm looking at my list of participants.
Sorry.
Derek?
When you say cost recovery, are we talking about future financing? Like distribution of funds? So say we're ranking a certain item number 1, and would that dictate, okay, maybe that, general funds would be going toward that instance, or, thing?
So when we're talking about the ranking system, and when we're talking about community benefit versus individual benefit, that what's attached to that is how much that program is subsidized versus how much we're going to cost recover. So if you cost recover 100%, that means you're breaking even. If it's more of an individual benefit, you would tend to cost recover more than that. It wouldn't be heavily subsidized by tax dollars. So what we're doing is getting the recommendations from PRAC and the City Commission to see where they think the services and programs that we provide should actually land on if it's a community benefit versus an individual benefit.
And Kendall, if I may, just real quick add to the part of what will happen on December 8th is what?
You froze. You're good.
Your sound's funny, Rochelle.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Can you
Yes.
hear me? Okay. Okay. So part of what Kendall had mentioned too, on December 8th, our consultant will go through the cost recovery, a brief training that will explain exactly what cost recovery is, because it's a brand new language. And even when we started this process, that's what part of what we did was we trained staff. So we were all using the same language and understanding exactly what is a category and what is a beneficiary of service. Did I cut out again?
Yeah.
You did.
Sorry. It must not want me to talk tonight.
Does that cover what you had to say, my dear?
It does. I'm not sure what you heard, but fill in. Did I answer your question? There's going to be training that will help us understand. So.
Okay. Is the question answered?
You
I'm
bet.
going on to Doug. Doug, do you have a comment?
You know, I get this may be my last meeting. The question I had, we had more than a year ago, meeting with the City Commission talking about budgets and deferred maintenance. Is this kind of a first step in terms of where we are and enabling us to go forward to see where we should be in terms of program projects we want to do, in terms of deferred maintenance and so on?
This won't necessarily have an effect on deferred maintenance, but this is a good budgeting tool that will allow us to maximize how we utilize our resources. So we actually have a clear understanding of what providing a program, providing a service actually costs us. And so what we're looking to do is, if we can maximize how we utilize our resources, then we can reinvest our resources differently, which then will allow us to free up, hopefully, some additional resources for some of these deferred maintenance projects, for some of these capital improvement projects. That would provide a higher level of flexibility for us, because we're recovering a higher percentage of our costs back with our fees and our fee schedule.
Okay, Doug, does that answer your question? Apparently. All right, Jeff, do you have a question?
No, I think you've answered all my concerns. Thanks.
Okay, Sean.
No questions for me. Thank you.
All right, Troy. Troy, any questions? I'm not, oh, there we go. No, I'm not seeing. Troy, if you're talking, you're muted.
Okay, no questions.
Okay, apparently I'm not getting anything. All right, any other PRAC board members have a question? Any staff have additional input? All right, thank you, Kendall. Thank you, Rochelle. And my understanding is this is an informational only item that we'll take up at the work session on December 8th. So I don't believe we need any motion on the results to date. Is that correct, Kendall?
That is correct.
I think Brent had something to say, maybe.
Yeah, I raised my hand.
Sorry, Brent. Oh, you did. Good job.
Hey, quick question, Kendall and Rochelle. When do we expect to see benefits from this consultant in the cost recovery?
And when you refer to benefits, are you referring to when we implement the cost recovery methodology within our budget and seeing like a return on
Yes.
like training that we go through? I would expect to see some benefits once we go through the process of creating the budget for the next biennium. Obviously, we're not going to go through and make some large transitions and adjustments to our pricing right now, just due to the nature of kind of where we are. We want to put some processes in place. We need to communicate some of these changes and the why behind them. So it's going to be a gradual process to make sure people understand what we're doing and why we're doing it before we really start implementing some huge changes.
Okay.
And,
Thank you.
Brent, too, one of the things that we've already experienced as a benefit is we're doing an analysis of the current budget and how it relates to our services. And so we're getting, for the first time, we're really getting into what are we really recovering and where are we spending that. So as a department too, and just to thank everybody for their hard work gathering all that data, because it's been very time consuming, and that's where the consultant is helping us analyze that data. And so it's been very insightful and helpful already. So
Very cool. Thank you. I find this very exciting, and this type of, as a process improvement person, I kind of get excited about these things. So thank you for sharing.
Okay, and I want to clarify one thing for PrAC members, if you're not aware of it. Oregon City budgets on a 2-year cycle, and we are in the current new budget cycle. So from now until June, we will be looking at what our budget will be for the next 2 years, which makes this even more important. All right, any other PrAC members have a question? Hearing none, that concludes the presentation on the cost recovery training and analysis. And now that I paid attention to my original agenda, item 3 is PrAC member position openings and appointment recommendations. I welcome a motion, or actually first we need a motion. I am recused. Troy, you need to declare that you recuse.
So
Okay.
this is Sean.
I recuse myself.
This is Sean. I'll lead off. And I would like to make a motion that PrAC forward on to the acting mayor, Karen Morey, Tim West, and Troy Bollinger for new terms on the Park and Recreation Advisory Committee.
Okay, second, and state your name, please.
Second that.
All right, and Kendall, roll call with Troy and I eliminated.
All right. Doug Neely,
Aye.
Jeff Sargent,
Aye.
Eric Kugel.
Aye.
Amy Crump,
Aye.
Don Datchler,
Aye.
Brent Haverkamp.
Aye.
Can I make a comment?
You may.
I will tell you who I ranked number 1, and that's the new candidate, Tim West. And the reason was he really focused on things that of issues that really we haven't discussed before. For example, the Frisbee nets, that came up in a discussion with a person, a citizen at one point, and I saw those were repaired, but I didn't even know what those things were when I walked through Cedar Creek Park. I had no idea, but he really had some, I think, things that we haven't discussed at all about, and look forward for him particularly coming on the commission, although I'm happy to see the other 2 as well.
Well, and now that we've concluded that, I have to agree, Tim will be a wonderful addition. All right, so now Kendall, Filbert Run Park Master Plan Design.
This is something I'm really excited about. We had the opportunity to award the contract for the development and construction of Filbert Run Park on November 18th to Lango Hansen. They were actually involved in the 2014 master plan. They've also done some great work with us at TSW. So tonight, Kurt Lango is here to share some of the information about the master plan designs and show some of the great work that's going to happen at Filbert Run Park. So Kurt, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I'm really happy to be here tonight remotely talking with you all about Filbert Run Park. As Kendall mentioned, it's hard to believe it was back in 2014 when we had our very first public meeting out of the site. I remember it well because we had this idea. It's like, well, instead of having it inside a room on a really hot summer evening, why not have it at the park? And I think we probably had 50 to 60 people attend that very first meeting. And so it was a great turnout. As you well probably all know, the neighbors have been very vested in that park over the years. And we ended up having 3 meetings altogether, a presentation to the PRAC committee back in 2014 and the Planning Commission as well. So we are really happy to continue to be involved in it. And tonight what we want to do is we want to just share some updates. We've actually hit the ground running over the last couple weeks. And we want to share some of the new ideas that we have for the park and refinements. So maybe with that, Kendall, are you able to pop up our PDF? Great. Okay, perfect. Okay. So this is the previous master plan that we worked on. As I mentioned, it was kind of a culmination of a number of different plans that we'd presented and gotten really great comments back. And then I know that you're very well aware too that last year we were awarded a Oregon State Recreation Parks grant for this project as well. So as part of this plan, just as kind of a brief refresher, it's located in the Hazel Grove Westland Farm neighborhood, about 3 acres inside. It's surrounded by residences on the west side. North is facing up, west, east, and south side as well. And so Hazelnut borders the park on the north side. And I think from early on, what we heard from a lot of the neighbors is they just love the passive qualities of the park right now. It just has this kind of wonderful kind of woodland trees, just a variety of trees within the site. And they really wanted to keep that kind of natural setting. So what we had proposed is just a series of walkways, a loop trail that kind of winds through the park, winds through the trees, and then also makes a connection over to the east side. There's an existing kind of pedestrian walkway that makes it through to the neighborhood homes over in that area. They wanted to protect all the trees. And it's kind of funny because then we didn't have a survey. So we were out there kind of hand measuring where all the trees are. We tried to do our best ability at that point. But we have benches, picnic tables. All the grass area over on the west end side is more of an eco lawn. So it'll be drought tolerant, doesn't necessarily need to be irrigated, and doesn't need to be maintained and mown as much. But the east side, they wanted to keep it as is with an active kind of lawn area. We had a picnic shelter, a play area, small play area. And then for those of you that have been out there, there's like a small kind of, I don't know, I call it maybe a swale, kind of intermittent stream at best that kind of runs and bisects through the park. And so we'd proposed a series of bridges that would go across that swale area. So that was pretty much the improvements that we had suggested and worked through the master plan that was approved. And so I think the next slide, I think just gives you an idea. We wanted to kind of refresh everyone's memory on what's out there for those of you that haven't been there recently. So wanted to take you on a little virtual tour. So we have one kind of facing south, two we tried to kind of frame it to where you could see where some of the trails would be going through. So that's number 2. Number 3 shows you that area. 4 is Kohler Drive, which is to the south, which dead ends into the project. And 5 gives you a view of that, that kind of gentle depression. So maybe kind of go through the slides. So number 1, so that gives you an idea of this future pathway. Let's see, Kendall, I don't know if you're able to get to the next slide.
Sure.
Great. So that's this kind of open existing grass area. And what you can see is a kind of variety of sizes of trees. A lot of these were planted by the neighbors, you know, over the years. So it's really nice to see a lot of them doing really well. So that path will kind of snake through here. It may be that we need to relocate or transplant 1 or 2 of the smaller trees, but we're trying to keep as many of them as we can. So that's the view, kind of that draw down the park. And then the next slide. So this begins to show you some of the areas where that path is going through. So we're going to try to keep, you can see like this is what we call like a little cow path that kind of winds through. So this is where one of the paths is kind of coming through, and it's going to hang a right towards the shelter. We do have an arborist on staff. He's already visited the site, and he's going to be cataloging all the trees, both looking at their health, but we'll also be working with them really closely in terms of impact. So we just don't want to get in there within these kind of root zones. And you know, a lot of times when you do some excavation, you don't necessarily kill them the first year, but it's like it happens over time. So we'll be working with him both up front, but also during construction to make sure that we limit any impacts to the trees. So this shows you one area. Then the next slide, we wanted to bring your attention to this one because we also have a pathway going through here. And we actually felt that, I'll share with you the survey, but we're a little bit more concerned with the pathway going through here just because some of the sizes of the trees and potential impacts to them. So we're actually kind of reconsidering this particular pathway, and it will make more sense when we go to the plan. The next slide. So this shows you kind of the dead end of Kohler. Kohler is just right on your right-hand side. You can see a little bit of asphalt right there. There's actually this drainage swale, which has, it's at its deepest point right here. There's a little inlet right there. And this was installed a number of years ago because one of the neighbors to the south had brought to the attention of the city that there was a lot of flooding. So they actually put this inlet in there. So we're going to be kind of working because we need to get ADA access through here. So we're going to be kind of working in this area to make sure that we continue to make sure this is not flooding, but also provides access into the park. And then I think the last slide shows that we have a habitat consultant on our team, and back in 2014, it's the same company. They said that this is not considered a wetland, but it is considered an ephemeral stream. I'm sure all of you are aware of the city standards and code standards for the NROD area. So there is an NROD overlay over here, approximately 15 feet on either side of the stream. So we'll definitely be taking that into account with our improvements. But this gives you an idea of how shallow it is right now. So the next image is actually the survey. So I have to say, when we went out and field measured all the trees, we didn't get one exactly where it is. So it's just the nature of out with a tape measure in the middle of a grass area. But it's great to have a survey now. And you can see that there's a lot of trees out there. And we're trying to keep as many as we can. In fact, all the ones you see here, we are keeping. There's a couple fruit trees out there which have seen better days, which we will be removing, and those are closer to the play area. But this gives you an idea of the kind of updated path system. So that path over on the west-hand side that goes through the kind of the eco lawn, the natural areas, we're kind of going through there. We're kind of getting close to a couple trees that I think will be relocating. But that will give people really kind of a nice loop through the park. We connect down. It's called Westwood Drive here, but it's actually Kohler Drive. And then you can see that the change here is down on the southern portion where before we were kind of going through right through that stand of trees. What we felt was better, and we talked with Kendall, Denise, and John Waverly as well, is to actually make more of a loop, because before we didn't have a connection from Kohler Drive over to that pathway that meets that kind of the existing pedestrian walkway. So now we also create more of a circle, more of a way to kind of get around the park and not impact those kind of a number of trees through that southern portion. We do have a bridge crossing over there on the southern area as well, where the soil gets a little bit deeper. And then you can see the play area, which is that kind of oval shaped piece, and then the shelter. The shelter was the other thing that we moved. And the shelter was located right in that middle of that stand where you can see that little bit of stand of opening and trees. When we went back out there, we felt that we'd have to have a real big concrete pad for that shelter, and it just would really impact those trees. It's a pretty shaded area, and also just in terms of visibility and security, we kind of felt like it needed to have a little bit more presence closer to Hazelnut Drive or Hazelnut Avenue. So we just moved that slightly. The play area, though, is approximately in the same location. I know we'll kind of circle back around for questions, but we wanted to share a couple more images with you that as we've begun to take a closer look. And so if you go to the next image, it shows you some of the play area components. And so when we went through the master planning process, what we heard from a lot of the neighbors is they really wanted to keep the playground as natural as possible, using kind of natural materials. And so what we have here is kind of a palette of kind of nature play components, swings, and other kind of standalone elements for kids to play with. Just thinking about this, it's important for us to think about the this play area, both in terms of ADA access, but also creating an inclusive playground for kids of all abilities. And what we're showing here is some sort of climbing rock. And when we had talked to this idea with park staff, I think they were really excited about this because it was something that you currently don't have in your park system. And these can be a variety of ways. We're showing one right here, which is, it's not a real rock, but you know, it's made out of concrete. There are other ones that have handholds to it, and so we haven't figured out the exact one. But the idea is that there could be a large climbing stone, and then right below it are a series of logs that you can both climb on, but you can also kind of walk on. And this is a little bit similar to what we've done for Tyrone Woods, and I think maybe might be a little bit similar to Ladderette Park. Right to the right of that are poles that are a little bit more vertical that have kind of climbing bars to them. And then the lower right is a nest swing. We are also doing this at Tyrone Woods as well. And then above that, a little drum kit. And then to the left of that is a twirl piece that kind of spins. So just making one little quick, going back to this idea of accessibility and inclusive play features, all of these are rated extremely well in terms of accessibility and being inclusive, because they're basically considered from the ground up pieces. With some other play areas or play equipment, in order to access the accessible features, you have to climb on top of something, or you have to go up on something to get to it. These are considered ground and above features, so they all rate very high in terms of accessibility. Also, in terms of kind of play features such as the nest swing, it allows kids of different abilities to engage together. And that's the same thing with like that pole climb that we have. A child can go up to it. They can use their upper body strength to get onto it. So they're playing within a group rather than playing in isolation. We know that the drum kits and that twirl are things or play pieces that kids with autism are very attracted to. So that was important too, in terms of thinking about how we can make this as inclusive as possible. So that's a little bit about the play area. And then we wanted to kind of round it out with the very last slide, which is some of the site furnishings. So you may recognize on the upper left-hand side, the shelter that we worked on years ago for John Storm Park. So we'll be using the same shelter. Benches, picnic tables, trash receptacles, bike racks. So all of those things are standard park furnishings that we'll be using for this park. I think before we open it up, I'll just end on a schedule. So we are getting ready in mid-December to submit for some initial permitting, some site plan review submittal. We'll then continue to be working on construction documents, and we will be hopefully bidding early next year and starting construction in spring through summer, and then a grand opening in October. So right now, 3 to 4 weeks into it, we're meeting our schedule, and I think we feel confident that we can meet the schedule in 2021. So with that, that's our presentation. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, and this is Karen, and thank you, Kurt, for a wonderful presentation. Are there any other staff members that want to give input? I see Jonathan's on here. Hearing no other staff members.
Raised.
Oh, sorry. Jonathan?
Oh, I don't think we've been working really close with Kurt, and so we'll continue to do as much, and hopefully you guys like the ideas that we've been working on. A lot of the items you will notice that we have similar in other park sites, because we know that they've worked for us. They've been successful. So we try to, capitalize on our successes and learn from the difficulties that we have in some of our other sites. So.
Thank you. Denise, anything to add?
Not really. I'm really excited to have John and Kendall work with Kurt on this, and really start establishing their experiences from construction from the ground up, and hopefully we can kind of spread that knowledge around.
Okay, Kendall, anything to add from staff?
Yeah, I just also want to acknowledge Rochelle will be working on this project as well. And she's been really helping us manage the timeline and with public engagement. We're really excited about the opportunity to have the opportunity to present this information next week to CIC as well, and get some input from them. So very excited. I think it's somewhat unheard of in Oregon City to have 3 construction projects going on at the same time, but luckily I have an awesome staff and some great leaders, and working with Kurt has been great. And I'm just excited about being a part of this project.
Okay, and I apologize. I did not realize Rochelle was involved in this. Do you have anything to add, Rochelle?
No, thanks though, Karen. No, I just, again, learning from some of the best. So Denise is an excellent project manager and yeah, and Kendall bringing me along to learn. So thank you.
All right, thank you, staff. All right, Brent.
So 2 questions on this, and Kurt, great presentation. Thank you very much. Regarding the accessibility of the playground features, when you were saying that they were rated, who were they rated by, just out of curiosity?
Good question. There's a national kind of association of it's not necessarily play area, but play equipment.
Okay.
And so the manufacturer that we're working with here is also supplying a lot of the play area logs for Tyrone Woods. So in talking with him, because in our kind of mind, we always think about accessibility of kids primarily being wheelchair bound, but there's a lot of kind of mobily challenged kids of kind of different natures. And so when he talked about it, he said that because these are kind of ground and above, that they're actually rated very high versus other play equipments that you have to like climb up or access in order for them to be accessible.
Okay. All right. Thank you for answering that. And then Kurt or Kendall, you might be able to answer this. I noticed a dog fountain, a fountain that had like a dog water dish at the bottom of it in the last slide, which I thought was awesome. I love those. Any chance for a dog off leash area with Filbert Run?
I can probably take that, but I know, as part of Tyrone Woods, we have an off-leash area, and that is a fenced off-leash area, and that is just shy of an acre. And that is actually when you look at off-leash areas, that's on the very small size of the park space, and that park is 7 acres plus. I think with a park that this small, having to kind of section off an area would probably take a big chunk out of the park.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Andy.
Yes, thanks, Kurt. That was a great overview, and I'm actually super excited to be involved in this. Is one of the reasons why I got on the board. But speaking of that, many people on the board know that I'm an avid mountain biker. And one of the things that's becoming more and more popular, City of Portland did a major off-road cycling plan. And mountain biking or off-road cycling of some sort. I know we have paths around there, which you could ride. I'm assuming those are paved or ADA type of paths. And yeah. Is there a possibility, I've been involved in lots and lots of trail building, but something that you can, if there's a possibility of creating a simple little trail all the way around the circumference, it's very, very cost effective. You don't have to make it paved. It would be something gravel. I've been involved in trails that I could tell you, you could easily do it for $1,000 or more with a lot of volunteers, but dealing with, the cities, that's a different, but more of the question is really, is there a possibility to incorporate something like that into this park design?
Let's see, Kendall, can you go back to the plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, right in there. Well, I can say that anything is possible. I think that when we first started the outreach and when we do neighborhood park plans like this, the kind of list of things that everyone wants in the park usually is a lot more than we can actually kind of fit in it. And so we always have to kind of think, okay, well, what would kind of work in this park, and what do you kind of say for other parks that may be a little bit more conducive for that activity? And I would say that with this one, the only thing I'm thinking is that if we were to put a trail around all the edges, that's like right in front of a lot of where the neighbors are. And so there might be some concerns about that. Certainly with this pass system, and I know it doesn't get to kind of what you're talking about, you know, it is a generous path. It is 8 feet wide. There is ability to kind of make your way around it, but that would be different than kind of what I think you're maybe suggesting.
Yeah, yeah. And there are ways, I mean, I'd be open to having the discussion if there was possibilities for this, but there are ways that you could do. You don't want to typically do a straight line. You can kind of weave in and around, you know, trees and things like that. So whether we can do it in this park is something that I'd love to be able to see in potentially, you know, parks in the future.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, Jeff.
Yes, I'll take the complete opposite.
Oh, you're done. Go.
No, this trail system I think is great. I live 2 blocks away from this park. This is a neighborhood that's in transition. I see more parents with strollers than I did when I moved there about 7 years ago. I think the fact you do have a loop in there going around the trees, I think is great. The other aspect I think is great is you tie into all the stub streets that are going into there. So anybody coming from any direction can access those trails. And I think that's great. The one thing I was going to mention is this: you can see down where the stream comes down, and then you see the horizontal ditch that it's flowing into. That's where you saw the boulders before. The water flows through there must be very, very heavy. The stream only, you know, it's only during storms that you see that stream flowing. But that ditch there, those boulders get shifted, and those boulders are bigger than I can lift. So a lot of water must be pouring through there. So as that individual that you're hiring to look at that system is to see, I don't know, have boulders throughout that whole area to keep those boulders from shifting. But it's the only part of the park that I feel is unsightly. And it's, as I say, the flows coming through that lower section there are huge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. We do have a civil engineer involved, and he's the same firm that's working with us on Tyrone Woods Park as well. And you know, you're right, it's unsightly, and it's also a main entrance too. So I think when we begin to kind of take a look at that a little bit more closely in terms of adding some more protection to make sure it's safe, but also make sure it looks nice as well.
Got one other comment, if I may.
You may.
The stub coming at the bottom end from it's actually from the southwest. The streets don't run north and south, but it's coming from the southwest. But the one at the bottom there, it is a stub, and although you don't usually think of it as a park system, it'd be nice to have a basketball hoop there, accessed from the actual stub itself, where older kids can, you know, through a basketball. It extends into the public works piece, but it's really kind of a vacated space there in that stub. So that's one thing you might consider for older kids.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff.
Hey, Kurt, thanks for your presentation. I appreciate it. I did have one question with regard to the drums. I appreciate your explanation that that's geared mostly for our autistic children. My question would be, what is the decibel range on that, and would it potentially be a nuisance to surrounding neighborhoods?
Well, they have. Good question. And I know that when I talk, Kendall, Denise, and John, you have one of those drum sets in another park, and we've specified them before. They're not as loud as they look. But have you in your other parks? You have another one, don't you?
Yeah, we have that at Barkley Hills, and we've had 0 complaints. They're really not very loud at all.
Oh, good. That was my main concern.
Yeah, good.
Okay, Derek.
This might be off the wall and a little off topic, but pretty close. It may not be for Kurt, but it may be. We have all, as I look at these playground equipment and all these new constructions, Park Place, Tyrone, Filbert, and then I think about, our fiscal responsibility. Is it a possibility to get a cost cut on, from the same company to supply these, park structures? Probably way off base and probably,
Oh, no.
but that was, maybe a bulk deal.
Well, it's a good question. I think that I can't speak for La Tourette Park, but I know that this is the same company that has supplied the Tyrone Woods, as I mentioned. It's actually locally manufacturers, well, local as in up in Vancouver, Washington. So it's not like we're shipping these pieces across the U.S. in order to get here. We always try to get the prices down as low as we can, because the lower we can get the price, then the more that we can afford. So I think we have a really good relationship with them. And I think they, just by virtue of the amount of work that we give them, they give us the best price possible.
Great. I just wondered.
Okay, and I see a hand up with a phone number. Is that Troy?
Yes, that's true.
Troy, do you have a comment?
No, I got nothing to say.
Okay, and Andy, did you have something to add? Seeing not. Sean, your hand's up.
I just wanted to make a couple comments on this. Kurt, it's great to see you back on this. You did an outstanding job here. And one thing for some of the newer PRAC members, you've asked some great questions. I was there with several of the PRAC members when we first began the master planning process. And like he said, normally we sit in the commission chambers or a conference room when we talk about this. And we actually sat out there on a warm August night with probably 50 plus people. And all the PRAC members who had been through other master plans just kind of looked at each other like, what are we witnessing here? It's unexpected to see that much community involvement when normally, look at a meeting tonight, nobody's watching us or 2 or 3 people, and we had a lot of community input, and what you see on this page is what that neighborhood wanted. So I think a lot of us from PRAC kind of went in with, oh, we're going to put in a red and blue and green play set, and maybe a basketball court or tennis courts, and you have those ideas, but we kind of sat in the back of the audience and listened to the people that had walked from their homes talk about what they wanted in their park, and this truly reflects what they wanted, and not not necessarily our will that we pushed on them. And so that's important to know. And then Derek, you brought up a great point about cost, the cost of the things. One thing that wasn't mentioned tonight was this park was master planned under a single contract with Tyrone S. Woods. So the city saved money during the master planning process, and Kurt designed both parks on one contract. So that's all.
Okay, and I'm going to add, thank you, Kurt. I have always considered this space the most beautiful place to leave it as natural as possible. And I am so impressed. But I had to chuckle over your cow trails. The third level of Oregon City had several dairies, so they were probably wandering through that property at some point. But having grown up when there were, there's one house per acre up there, preserving this in a natural state is the most incredible park design I have ever seen. Thank you. All right, and Kendall, Brent, sorry.
Yeah,
Your real hand.
one last question. Kurt, as a project manager, myself, what risks do you see to that October opening date? What risks do you see that could impact that?
Well, it's typically it's the and it's nothing against the city, but it's the city planning kind of and permitting process.
Okay.
Because we have to go through something with the site plan review that can take anywhere from 3 to 4 months. We'll be busy kind of working on some of the details and things, but it's kind of shepherding it through that process. The good news is that we're hitting that early. As I mentioned, I think in the next couple of weeks, we'll be submitting some updated plans. So at this point, I'm really pretty confident that I don't see any other kind of hurdles or red flags that are going to prevent us from opening the park late summer next year.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, any other? All right, Kendall, I'm assuming this was informational. Since we're not at a final design plan, do we just note that we've heard the presentation?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And thank you so much, Kurt. Beautiful
All right,
design.
thank you. Thank you all.
All right, member reports. And I've got a few random hands. Does anybody have a member report? All right, I have a small one. Mountain View Cemetery through grants has raised about 1/2 of the cost of refurbishing the Veterans Memorial. Hopefully in January, if I work a little harder on something, I need some catchphrases. We need to start looking for local donations and support from local veterans. So if anybody has any great ideas on how you reach out, we're halfway there, thanks to grants, and there may be more grants we can apply for. So anybody else? Gone. Staff reports. Kendall.
All right, so exciting news. Tyrone S. Woods is moving forward and moving forward ahead of schedule. We've had some bumps in the road, but we're doing really well with the development there. I encourage all the PrAC members to take some time to drive by and see some of that progress. Something that we've been talking about is the dedication ceremony, and I just wanted to give everyone an update in regards to kind of where we are in the process. One of the things that we wanted to do was to specifically reach out to Cheryl, Tyrone's mom, and DJ, and really get together with them and talk about this dedication ceremony and really allow Cheryl to kind of lead the process. We had some recommendations in regards about the time frame. And from that meeting, we came away with a tentative date of March 26th for the dedication ceremony. Obviously, with COVID happening, we're running into some issues in regards to modifications in regards to attendance. And one of the things is we're operating off of the limitation of 50 people. And so something that we wanted to do was to make sure that Cheryl took priority in regards to her guests and her family members that she wanted to invite. And then from there, we could see what other slots we have available for people to attend. Now that's a tentative date. Sean and I have had some conversations about the date and the time, and I'm gonna take some of those recommendations back to Cheryl and the rest of the team. Kristen, our communications coordinator, and Rochelle's helping with the dedication ceremony as well to provide some more feedback. And so I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. This is just a tentative date. We will have some additional conversations Once that date is solidified, we've even talked about other options in regards to if there needs to be more than one dedication. Obviously, if things are going well with COVID, and we hope they are, we will have the opportunity to, we hope we will have the opportunity to invite more people. But we're not sure where we're going to be in March. We hope we'll be in a much better situation. But I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. DC Lotterette is going well. We ran into a couple of roadblocks with DC Lotterette and the construction of that project, but Denise has been working really hard to keep that project moving forward. I don't know if I reported, but Denise and I did meet with the core team to give them an update on the project. And then from that conversation, they had put in a request to put out a banner out front or a sign out front highlighting the project and the history of the project so people knew more about what was going on. So the community could be informed. So we were able to get that information out. The other thing that's really exciting is one of the things that we wanted to do with all of these projects going on is to communicate better to the community. And so I had reached out to Rochelle and Melissa, and Melissa helps manage our webpage, and she created a landing page for all of our parks projects. So people can get consistent updates in regards to where we are and the progress that we're making. So all three of these projects will be listed on our website with frequent updates and updates to the pictures and what's going on with these projects. So really excited about that. Like I said earlier, with Filbert Run and the master plan refinement, we will be going to CIC next week to be sharing this information. We're really excited about the opportunity to have PRAC and the City Commission to get together on December 8th to talk more about our cost recovery. We really think that this will allow us a great opportunity to look at how we better manage our resources and to set us up in regards to getting prepared for the budget season and being ready to go in the next biennium and help with some goal setting. As you know, we're still managing some of the restrictions with COVID. Unfortunately, we've had to close our pool in Ermitinger House again, and that it looks like that's going to be kind of the way it's going to be for now. Rochelle and her team have really done a good job of being resourceful and figuring out what we can do and what services we can provide. Those facilities that are closed, staff are helping in other departments. Kathy will have an update about some of the great work that's going on at the Pioneer Center. They're really making a tremendous impact on the community. The amount of meals that go out and care packages that go out of that facility, even more so during the holidays. That's a Herculean effort. So kudos goes out to Kathy and her team for making that impact in the community. And that is all of my updates.
Okay, so can I actually ask Kathy to kind of tell us what's been going on during this shutdown?
Well, can you see me? All I see is the master plan picture, so I'm not sure if you can see me.
I can hear you, dear.
There we go. Let me turn off my phone. I have many things going on. I'm very important. Text messages and whatnots. Okay, there I am. So we have not been closed. We've been closed to the public since March 13th, but we've been continuing to provide most of our regular services. Meals on Wheels, as Kendall said, goes out every week, and it ranges from anywhere between 800 and 900 meals a week. Food boxes are averaging about 20 food boxes for families. So we get food boxes donated to, or they're brought to us at the Pioneer Center from Clackamas County. But then we have a really bad habit of looking through things, and then if we don't like what's in there, we add to it. So we like to make sure people get a really full box of food that is going to be really helpful to them. Good heavy protein things, peanut butters, tunas, packaged meals that are easy to cook. Then this last week for Thanksgiving, we had 52 Thanksgiving meals. We partnered with St. John's Church to make sure people got hot Thanksgiving meals. And then we also do personal care boxes. So we get items donated at the pool. The pool has been really instrumental in collecting donations and contacting local grocery stores and churches so that we've gotten fresh fruit, toilet paper, toothpaste, all the things that are helpful in keeping some of our absolutely most vulnerable people in their homes. We really don't want 80 and 90-year-olds trudging around the community if we can help it. So that's been super helpful. And then of course it's Christmas time and we partnered with Public Works. They're collecting Christmas gifts for about 40 of our clients, our most needy, which includes several veterans. And we'll have those wrapped and delivered, as well as we collected 130 blankets from Connections Church. They purchased those. And then we purchased boxes of Steve's candies from our donation fund to supplement that. And then we've got HealthNet is also collecting some gifts for folks. So we have a lot of stuff coming in, a lot of stuff going out. Week we're sending out box lunches. We've had a grant through Clackamas County for box lunches through a local restaurant, and then we also have a grant that will provide us hot lunches through minority-owned restaurants. So we're trying to be supportive of our local restaurants. So we're just busy.
Thank you. Rochelle, want to add anything about donations that can be made at the pool?
Yeah, sure. We're accepting donations at the pool, and people that are interested in donating arrive at the pool. There's a number there that we let people in. We accept the donations, we disinfect them, send them over to the Pioneer Center, and there's a website that we keep updated that lists items that Kathy's team that they're in need of. And so if people are interested, it also has updated hours that we're available to take donations, but basically 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. There's someone there to accept those donations. So
thank you, staff. Okay, I'm noticing that I know we reappointed a new dog park committee. Denise, is there any update on dog parks?
That's more my wheelhouse.
Kendall, sorry.
Yeah. I know Jeff and I need to get together on setting up a time to meet. And so Jeff and I will have some conversation and figure out how we can connect and move forward on that.
Yeah.
No, okay. All right, it's December. Let's celebrate. Any other staff reports that we need to give you guys, guys and girls, a pat on the back?
John and the Parks team, they've been working extremely hard. It's leaf season. They have a lot going on. As many of you know, with the homeless population and the cleanups and all the vandalism, they have done an outstanding job. It's the one department in the entire city that has never taken time off during this pandemic. So kudos goes out to his team for all the hard work that they do. Every day they come in with a great attitude to do some great work in our parks.
And my husband thanks you for not leaving me at home.
Thank you, Kathy. Kendall, thank you so much. We appreciate our staff. All right, so we will see each other December 8th.
I do have a question though.
Oh, Doug, yes?
Yeah. The mayor, we won't have a mayor until March. And I'm just wondering, because it says the mayor appoints. I presume the chair is going to take that responsibility. I hope I don't hope we have these positions empty.
The president of the commission will make the appointments.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, kudos?
Karen, I had a question for Denise.
I'm sorry, is that Sean?
Yes, my hand's
Okay.
been up. Denise, a few years back, the city went to a single wooden design for park and neighborhood signage. We've discussed it in PrAC. It's been 2-3 years or more how those did not hold up well. And just thinking about these 2 new parks and the fact that, you know, initially they can be paid with SDC funds. Could you talk about the sign that's going to be up at Tyrone S. Woods, probably since the other park hasn't got that far yet?
I think that what we've talked about is there's a standard signage that we've been using. It's a metal sign with wood posts. Barkley Hills Park has that signage. I think we showed it to you guys a while back, but it's green with white lettering and so natural looking. I think that we've been trying to stick with that format for right now. Again, that could always change. There could be some system of looking at parks like Tyrone S. Woods where it's a little more monumental. But that hasn't been a discussion point as of yet.
Great, thank you. I didn't know there was any move to metal. I was still thinking of like Wesley Lynn and how those signs deteriorated pretty rapidly. So then as far as Tyrone Woods, has the sign been purchased? Is that already in the works or is there an opportunity there?
No, we still have time. We haven't purchased that one yet. So I think that there's still an opportunity. That's not part of our construction package. The installation is though.
Right, good. Okay, well, great.
Yeah.
Maybe we can.
Sean, this is John. I think you're spot on. We've actually had quite a few conversations about our entire park system and our signage, and we have, I believe, like 4 different varieties of signs out there, and then some parks still even missing signs. So I actually just we put together a standard for what our signs will be looking like, and we'll work on replacing. Well, first of all, we'd like to make sure that any park that doesn't have a sign has a sign. Any of the new signs will have a sign of the same standard, something that that we as a maintenance team will be able to take care of. Like you were referring to the one at Wesley Lynn. Yeah, it's a large wooden sign with the pioneers on it. Even a coat of paint would really just be prolonging the inevitable, I think, with that sign. So we're trying to move with a design of a sign that will be consistent throughout our system and be manageable for our maintenance staff.
Great, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Okay,
Hey, Karen, I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who was that?
That was Troy.
Troy, yes,
So you can hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Wow, I got it fixed. So Kendall, are you open to suggestions on your, you can't hear me now? Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. But for some reason I can't hear you guys. I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, hang on. Now I can probably hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. And you'd think I don't work on computers all day long or something. So I don't know what's
No
going
comment.
on. It's getting late, past my bedtime or something. So I was just thinking as you were talking about the dedication for Tyrone S. Woods. And of course, I hope we're not at 50 people by March, but certainly I think it's wise to plan just because we don't know. But, you know, I think typically the go-to on something like this, if we're at 50, is to plan for 50 and then everybody else is, you know, virtual, right? That's just kind of been our go-to lately. But it comes to mind, and maybe a suggestion, something to think about, is what if we did 50 at the park And then, and of course, we want to think about that being, like you said, Tyrone's mother and some, maybe guests of honor and so forth, but then have a second group at a different location that had another 50. Because there's some good camaraderie and some good excitement about that park. And rather than have everybody just sitting in their homes, we have another 50 at a different location. What that then allows us to do is have that secondary group, if as plan B, if we open up a little bit, even if it's days or weeks prior to the event, that 50 moves to the park for 100. If, we happen to open up, if the numbers change, just before, rather than say, well, we're at 50, now how do we decide who, register at the last minute, who gets to be the next in line, that scramble at the last minute to decide who now gets to be present, if you know what I mean. So we have a second group of 50 that's been identified, and maybe that becomes some other staff members, some community members that have registered or whatnot. Just a thought that we have a second group of 50 at a different location that becomes the next group that gets to be in person if we get to open up.
I will definitely share that with the group tomorrow. We actually have a meeting scheduled tomorrow, and I'm glad you brought up like live streaming because that's something that we are planning on doing for the event as well. So,
well, and that second group, you can always live stream in that room, wherever that is, whether it's honestly across the street at the transportation facility with the school district. If they allow that, if they let us borrow that, or possibly in the commons area at the high school, you could always do a live stream on the big screen for those 50 people. And then if you just move them over to the facility, because, maybe a month prior or 2 weeks prior, we can have a bigger group than 50, maybe we can do 100 in one location. And then there's your second group. You don't have to scramble to decide who gets to be there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I'm taking the sign off. This is Karen. March 26, 2021 is a beautiful day for that park. Oh, it's my 68th birthday. Somebody bring me a gluten-free piece of cake. And I have to confess that when the police department that's in my backyard didn't invite me to their dedication, I took a little stroll down the block, sat on the wall, and joined in. So, hey. So thank you, folks. It has been an odd and interesting year being the chair of PrAC. I will preside briefly until the election of the new chair in January. Thank you all for your support, your love for the parks, and your dealing with our, what do I want to say, director, interim director, Dawn, thank you so much for everything you did. And our new director, Kendall, I am so looking forward to actually meeting you in person at some point. And we are done.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice Christmas. Happy New Year.
See you on the
And
8th.
to all of you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.